thank you to Chris Decker for your support on Patreon.
I don't like this room, but I do as he says. Goes through the process again with me. Just making sure it all sticks. Do you remember dilutions? Oh God, no. That's okay. Let's go through it again. Fuck. I have myself a strong concentration of developing fluid. I have 100 milliliters of strong developing solution poured from a jar. I want to dilute this solution by making it half quarter the strength of its original solution. If adding 100 milliliters of water to the solution makes it half as strong, how many 100 milliliter additions do I need to add to make a half a quarter strength in concentration? Oh, God, why are you doing this to me? I didn't come here for fucking math. 300? Yeah. Alright. Be audible. It's just a lucky guess. Uh-huh. Wow. And and I just suck you off of the nutritional benefits. What? What? Let's move along. I don't think I ever told you about overdevelopment. Not that I recall. Well, when you expose your photograph to the light-capturing chemicals for too long, eventually it captures too much light, and the image will get completely ruined. So it's always something you want to avoid doing. Well, not necessarily. Sometimes you might find photographs that you don't want to develop, but you have to give them the right number of photo counts to the reel, in their reel. So you've ruined stuff on purpose before? I'll admit it. Stuff like what? Mostly the stuff I don't think I should be seeing. Or anybody should be seeing. Stuff like what? We occasionally get compromising pictures of sleeping women taken without their permission. And there are more pictures of unmasked hangings than I would like. But any image that shows of a pickaxe wound, perchance, could spend some time in the... Oh. Well. I think that one's pointed. But any image that shows of a pickaxe wound, perchance, could spend some time in the developer. Plucks a photograph from a clothespin on a string and hands it to me. It's a picture of somebody's wound. I know this wound. I feel my tongue getting dry. Put it in the first tray. Means the light gray one full of developer. I drop it in the container and watch the image get drenched in fluid, darkening it, murking out everything until it's completely dark. The image is gone, but the picture count is not. How does it get so dark? It's the light. There's so much information in the light that it can't capture all of its subtleties and intricacies. So it's all lost in the details. Staring down to the image in the tray, his voice sounds strange, strained. Usually, darkness is what we ascribe to the occlusion or the distortion of what's really there. But it's light that does it, really. Warping through glass, bending through water, splitting through stones, traveling through great distances and from outer space to power our plants, which we put in our bodies. Light comes to warm us, to graze us, to travel through us. He's muttering now. Some visible, most invisible. I hope you're enjoying this conversation you're having with yourself. He blinks as if he's suddenly a lot more aware of his surroundings. Right. Right. He tightens his lips. Then he chuckles. Usually when I go on about these things, Dahlia interjects with thoughts of her own. He waves his paw in the air. Usually rebuttals. He smiles. Sound ones. I wonder if I should tell him that how he was talking there was the first time he's reminded me of his father. That's too cruel to say, even if I think it's true. At least for him, it's more of a passing thing than a constant. I want to talk about something else right now. I look at some of the pinned photos on the wall. It dawns on me that a lot of these photos in the room belong to the Burns family. I see a much younger Dahlia on a stage in front of a microphone. There's ones of Mr. and Mrs. Burns eating cake, perhaps from an anniversary. A teenage Holly is smiling from a typewriter. You mentioned today that you had a concussion once. Oh, I most certainly did. There's Holly blowing out candles on a birthday cake. Well, it was horrible. I had headaches for weeks. Weird that there aren't many pictures of Murdoch here. Still do on occasion. Oh, here's one. How'd it happen? I was a teenager. It happened during the summer. All I remember is that it was a fishing trip. Is it coincidentally from this picture I happened to randomly pick up? Wouldn't that be crazy? Like this one? Murdoch's walks? Is that a time? I don't know. Towards me and stares over my shoulder, then grunts. How did that get out here? Anyways, no, not like that one. That's a happy memory. Me and Ralph were teaching Seamus how to prevent his line from snapping. I don't know. I didn't know Ralph could be even skinnier. Yeah, I'm surprised none of the bigger catfish pulled him in. The fish in Emma were a lot bigger back then. Maybe it's just us who got bigger. He smiles a bit and then turns it into a frown. I miss him. You said he drowned, right? We think so. You think so? Leaned against the countertop and shifted his weight from his left foot to his right. He and some of his friends stowed away on a steamboat they weren't supposed to be on during the 4th of July. Was he stupid? Murdoch glares at me. He was 8.
That proves nothing! You can be a real stupid 8-year-old! I don't know.
Sorry. They were going to set off some fireworks Ralph made for them from the lake. One of his friends said the boat got rocky, that he tripped and fell and took a tumble off the side. But not before his arm got caught in the wheel. Shit. They found his paw. Just none of the rest of them. Sometimes I try to think that he passed out and died of shock rather than being awake when his lungs collapsed. Oh, picture changed. Picture changed. The picture fucking changed. The guy in the middle of his head moved. His picture fucking changed. But I like to remember him like this instead. It's the first week of summer. Honeysuckles and huckleberries are taking over the hillside, leaving the air smelling sticky and sweet. Campfire smokes in the air, too. Pulpy pine wood and sharp nettles. Slimy fish skin, too, but the catfish were good to eat when you didn't want to go home for supper, so the struggle was worth it. I wonder how he'd remember himself if he were here today. Probably envious of an age where fishing weren't as boring as watching paint dry. He smirks. Fishing is only as interesting as the company you bring. Cross my arms. You said that before, that you think whatever is happening here has something to do with it, don't you? He grabs another blackened picture from the developing tray with tongs. I do. Well, you never explained why. Maybe it's just an unhappy coincidence? I got my concussion on the same day, Sam. I don't think that was a coincidence. You really don't remember what happened? Murdoch puts his tongs down and stares at the wall like he's deep in thought. No. And don't insinuate that I'm lying. If I didn't think I could be honest with you, Sam, I wouldn't have brought you here. Well, I don't like thinking about what happened to me, but I remember it. Then we had different experiences. On occasion, I try to remember what happened to me. Little pieces come and go, but there's never enough for a coherent picture. Might I inquire about those little pieces, if I may be so bold? It's a fair thing to ask. I didn't know too much about you without even trying. He shrugged. Be as nosy as you like. Okay. What's anything at all that you can remember about that day? He taps his chin and narrows his eyes. You ever seen a Boy Scout troop play Capture the Flag? Of course I have. That's the best game I've ever played. Well, back then we used to call it flag raiding. Me and Ralph and most of the kids in our neighborhood played it on Saturdays. We moved this one to Tuesday because it was a holiday. And playing these big games made babysitting a lot more easy and tolerable. You were babysitting? My parents had dressed the best and went out of town. My ma said it was Pa's most important business trip to date, so they were extra stern about me watching over the girls and Seamus. During one of the games, I went back home to get some water. All I remember is going through the front door and feeling like something hit the back of my head. Shit. Turns out we were being robbed. You're lucky you didn't die, you son of a bitch. I didn't feel that way when I woke up. First thing I heard after waking up was him telling me about the pieces of Seamus they found. A gentle touch, that one. Murdoch shrugged again. We had a right to be forceful about that. Seamus was my responsibility. You were a child, and you were assaulted. I could say that. Or I could say that all the worst possible things happened to align at the right time. I had to feel discouraged enough to go home. The robber had to feel desperate or envious enough to steal my family's things and knock me out before I could see him. Seamus had to feel bold enough to break the rules and hop onto a boat. And whatever else had gotten into his head to mess around near the water wheel. So where were your sisters during all this? Holly snuck off to be with her friends, and Dolly was at an overnight finishing school. So how is it all your fault and none of hers? I don't think a chain event like that ever really can be anybody's fault. At least not anybody mortal. Or it could be. And you could get just a little bit angry at the people who contributed to the neglect. Well, that wouldn't solve anything. Might ease the mental load. Doubtful. You know, sometimes I think I'm too selfish. Doing what feels good or who feels good in spite of the values I was raised on. But then I talked to somebody like you and couldn't be envious one bit about what selflessness does to the mind of a man. No, sir. Not envious one bit. The first time I saw you, I assumed you couldn't be envious of anything at all. And after we spent the night together, you surprised me in a way that I didn't think you would. No, really? You showed me you want stability, and that you don't have it. And so what? My family gives me that, Sam. No, they fucking don't. You really think that's gonna last? Well, why shouldn't it? Access to good food, my own income, a routine, part to play in the busy lives, tending to the busy affairs. If they didn't need me, then they wouldn't make space for me. It's very simple. I understand what you're saying, I just think it's a terrifying way to live. Well, now why is that? Because I don't trust your family one bit. But I do. There's something wrong with them, Murdoch. They're nuts. They're all brilliant, actually. They just aren't always kind. Now there's an understatement. If you don't trust them, can you at least trust me? I'll trust you if you face the possibility that they'll hurt you. What? Can you look me in the eye and tell me that they may not love you? Sam! Do you want my sympathy or do you want my trust? He looks me in the eye for a moment and then looks away. Well, tell me they might not love you. He swallows. All right. All right, what? What you said is possible. Finally. That's at least something. I never said that it's the complete truth. I just need to know that you can prepare for the worst. Preparation is one asset I'm consistently valued for. I prefer not to meet the conditions of those circumstances. But what if you already have? Then I'm already prepared. I just don't think that's the state of things. He didn't say much more throughout the day as we developed the rest of the photos. Nothing risque or gruesome, thankfully. 5 o'clock came faster than I thought it would. My head is dizzy with the cloyant scent of fox and chemicals in the small, warm room. It looks like it's about time to head off and go home. He turns around and points at something hanging on the door handle. Make sure you bring your suit with you. Oh, right. You sure you'll be able to get it hemmed? Because we can always go back to the tailor if we need it. It's fine. I shut the door as I leave the red room. Wonder how much Cynthia will mind me asking for a favor. The hip looks a bit slow tonight. Then again, it's always slower on the weekdays. I walk upstairs and make my way to Cynthia's room and knock on the door. A moment. The door opens. I like this. We haven't gotten this view of the hip before, not to my knowledge. The bank lights are a bit odd, but okay. She rubs her eyes for a moment and then flinches. Oh, Sam. Aren't you white as a ghost and just as fleeting? Evening. Sorry I haven't dropped by as of late. You look put upon. Don't trouble yourself with any worries. Just hoping for a little bit of shut-eye before the late-night shift. I'm not scandalized one bit, though the madam might be if you let your queue keep growing. Do I have clients tonight? Then Cynthia plucks a notepad from her desk. 2, it looks like. 30 minutes each. Nothing troublesome then. All-nighters are always troublesome. I heard you found some extra work, and I think that's great. You heard? It's hard to miss you when you're working in one of the largest grocers on this side of town. I've been doing all sorts of odds and ends, I suppose. They even have me acting as an usher for a wedding. Well, if you're gonna usher, then you need to look presentable. Funny you should say that. I got a suit, but I need it hemmed. Think you could help me out? She crossed her arms and nodded. I can spare 30 minutes. Go get dressed and I'll be in your room in a bit. Though you really ought to wash if I'm going to be standing around under you with a sewing needle. Doubly so before you put on something nice. She's getting more blunt. I'll go boil some water. Not gonna talk back though, since she's doing me a favor. Now that I'm washed up and dressed, I crack the door open and let her know that I'm ready. She comes in holding a big leather bag in one paw and a spool of thread in another. Oh, you didn't tell me that the suit was that fancy. So I look fine? That's not what I said. The waist fit looks good, but the cuff of the pants needs some adjustments. Shouldn't take too long if you hold still. Hold out your arms like an uppercase T and stand still. Why I gotta be standing? 'Cause we don't have a dummy, dummy. Now stuff it with the moaning and groaning and hold still. Ouch! What are you doing down there? Just marking the seams with a few pins. Prick me. I'll fetch you a medic when we're through. Don't know if you'll make it, though. It was instinct, Cynthia. And make noise when they bleed. That's why y'all get squeamish around sanitary napkins? Oh, come on. She gives me a dismissive look. You know it's the truth. Whatever. She shrugs and holds a spool between her teeth while threading the needle. Anything strange happen at the brothel during daylight hours? Then how about strange? Ouch! Mostly business as usual. I picked up a few more clients. Harlan keeps taking too many days off, so the madam is looking for another mixologist. But I think her standards are a bit too high. Though somebody did propose to Scarlett again. She say yes this time? She might. Oh, really? I know she wants kids. She said it was one of her better customers. And she's got that look in her eye. The one when she gets fan letters? The one where she's about to use the right coupon. Oh. Good for her, I reckon. Other foot. Ow! Fuck! Oh, and there was also some old trunk found in the walls. Oh, hey, this happened in another route, I think? I don't remember. Big one? Fairly. So what was in it? Dunno. Sheriff Killjoy got his mitts on it before any of us could see. The madam went along with letting him take it for some reason. Makes me wonder if there's other things we could find hidden in the walls of this old building. It is good for hiding things. Nobody ever did find my coins. Back when I still had them. Just don't go tearing any holes in the wall. The wind gets cold at night. I'll be the first to let you know if I get the urge to tear anything down. Might start eating plaster if I ever get pregnant. Excuse me? Oh, you know. Some women get the urge to eat clay and dirt when they bear kids. Stop fucking with me. Even if you were interested, Sam, something tells me we wouldn't be able to make any. Very funny. But no, the clay thing is real. The hell is wrong with canines? Vulpines? Whatever, close enough. You lose a lot of minerals when a small person or two is growing inside of you, and your body wants it all back. Thank you, Cynthia. No problem, Sam. She stands up in front of me. Wrists. I flap them at her. She gives me a look. Front and center. I hold them out in front of her. Ouch! I didn't even put in a pin yet. I know. I just thought I'd get the yelp out of the way. She was pretty rough with the next pin. Fuck! Almost done. This'll be much faster than the slacks. I get the feeling that if Murdoch were here, he'd make a joke about Will putting cuffs on me. So, what about you? How's proper work treating you? Well, they're all insane. I suppose I would be too if I had to weigh peanuts all day. There's just something off about every one of them. I never met a family so obsessed with appearance. Maybe you can learn a thing or two. What's that supposed to mean? You rely a little too much on natural beauty. More grooming would do you wonders. She cut the thread off the needle with her teeth. Other arm. I held it out stiffly, rolling my eyes. When there isn't some task to perform, there's some person to please. Working here at least, I know what people want. There, it feels like I'm constantly being tested. So, quit? I think about that fox sitting alone in the dark room. Money's too good. Now there's something relatable. You sound good, though. What do you mean? More focused than you've been in weeks. After I push a little, you push back. So whatever it is you're doing over there might be helpful. It's because if I'm not on my toes at all times, I get the feeling something really bad could happen. She looks up at me. We're done, by the way. Take a look at my sleeves. They feel right. They got a good weight on them. My pants aren't dragging the floor. You're fast. You have to get fast when you make all your own clothes. Need anything else before I go? No. I mean, you've been a great help. So have you. Now, don't be a stranger. She gives me a small curtsy and laughed. Oh, and Sam? I hear her voice from the hallway. Yeah? Get out of this suit and hang it up properly with the sheet cast covering it up all the way. It's really, really nice. Now I'll get to it. Getting through the rest of the night wasn't as hard as the rest of the day. My first session doesn't even use up the whole 30 minutes as much as he needed to let it out. But my second takes up all the time. He has trouble finishing. I'm told that's ordinary as you grow older. He shakes when I... Okay. The bit erratic. And he lies on me to catch his breath. He wants me to pet him before he goes. The skin is soft and sags beneath the fur. And it's strange how unfamiliar all of the experience in his body is. And how it means nothing to me. Even when I can see every fold and strand of fur in the light of the moon is pristine clarity. In pristine clarity. But when he finally gathers his things to leave and leaves his money on the table, I think about Murdoch's body. And I wonder how well I'm remembering it now, compared to the next time I see it. My body is tired. My eyelids feel heavy. The details of my bedroom become too busy to keep track of. Time to sleep. I mean, shit. He's awake all day, and then he has to do this at night. Like, he's got a lot of. He's awake a long time. And I lose the pictures of them in my head as they're swallowed up by the lights of the moon. Ooh, what is this? Are we going to space? In my mind, I can see the sky. North, west, south, east. I see celestial light as far as the eye can see. And there's a Dastra floating by, that little speck right there.